All right, good evening. At this time, I'd like to call to order Planning and Zoning Board meeting, City of Lake City, 4th of April, 2023. This time, would everyone please rise, recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance, and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Lord, thank you for your many blessings. Bless our deliberations this day. Give us wisdom to make sound recommendations. We ask for these blessings in your name, Lord. Amen.
You may be seated. Mr. Angelo, roll call of members.
Ms. McCullum? Here. Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Cooper? Here. Mr. Mann?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Present.
And Mr. Leidy.
Present. Having the quorum present, we will continue. Meeting minutes for 7th of March 2023 were distributed electronically to all members on the 24th of this month. I trust everyone has had the opportunity to look those over. At this time, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the electronic minutes as submitted?
None.
Seeing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion to adopt minutes 3/7/2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, hand vote. Aye. All opposed? All right, we have meeting minutes. Old business. At this time, do we have a motion to untable petition CPA 23-02 and Z 23-02 submitted by Carol Chadwick acting as agent? This would be the Tennis Forever project.
Motion to untable CPA 23-02 and Z 23-02.
Second.
That's Carter and Nelson. All in favor, hand vote? Aye. All right, this time, do we have anyone representing the proponent for either of these petitions? Seeing none, do we have a motion for a continuance as opposed to a tabling for petition CPA 23-02 and Z 23-02 until such time as the proponents can attend in person?
Motion to continue for continuance of CPA 23-02 and Z 23-02.
Second.
Carter and Nelson. Mr. Angelo, would you please call the yeas and the nays on the continuance?
Yes, sir. One clarification. We're continuing that to the May 2nd meeting, correct? Which would be the next meeting.
Continuances are typically open-ended until such time as the proponent arrives, right?
Right.
So if they're not here on May 2nd, it'll just roll automatically into June 2nd. We won't have to continue making motions for a continuance, correct? All
I
righty.
just want to clarify.
Yeas and the nays, please.
Ms. McCullum? Mr. Nelson?
Yay.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidy.
Yay. All right, it's unanimous. Those two petitions will have a continuance until such time as the proponent can attend in person. New business. This will also be a joint series of petitions. We have petition CPA 23-03 and petition Z 23-03. Both petitions submitted by Mark Ganscott to amend future land use and official zoning atlas of land development regulations by changing future land use from residential medium to residential high density and changing the zoning district from residential office to residential multifamily 2 on properties described as follows: parcels 02461-601 and Columbia County parcel 02461-602. Do we have the petitioner present to speak on behalf? Please approach. Please raise your right hand. Do You swear to the best of your knowledge and ability that the testimony you're about to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo over there, please.
My name is Victor, Victor, Marrero, Marrero. And the address is 128 Northwest Green Lane, Lake City, Florida, 32055.
All right, I got a little ahead of the gun here. Before we hear your testimony, Mr. Angelo, would you care to stand from your position and introduce this while we already have the proponent at the podium? I'm sorry, that was my fault.
No, that's all right. You want me to say?
No, just hold steady.
All right, so this is for CPA 23-03 and Z 23-03 for Pines at Forest Meadows. They are looking to get a comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning. They're wanting to go from a residential medium future land use, which allows 8 units per dwelling acre, to residential high, which will allow up to 20 dwelling units per acre. The current zoning is residential office, which does allow for duplexes to be there along with office space and other type of housing, but it does not give them the density that they are looking for. They are looking to get to the residential multifamily 2 to potentially put up to 12 units on the property. And that it is contiguous to other property which is in the residential high district, and that, which is directly across the street, which is the Lake City Avenue Apartments. The city had no concern at the time that it is a rezone.
All right, everyone on the board received the hard copy project summary pack that Mr. Angelo was passing out in reference to these 2 joint petitions. Very nice. All right, thank you, Mr. Angelo. All right, now we've got stuff in the right order. For the benefit of the board, please explain in your own words what you would like to try to accomplish this evening.
Yeah, we're trying to provide some residential units. It's going to be, like the gentleman said, 12 units total. So it's going to be 3 2-story buildings with a parking lot, and it will have a retention pond. It's going to be included as well. So it's just to provide housing in an area that it's needed. There was some calculations done that none of the traffic would be affected, it would be negligible, and so we think that it's consistent with what is around the area, and we think it would be of benefit for the residents.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to add to that testimony?
That's it.
All right, at this time I'll open up the floor for members of the board to question the petitioner.
Are there any other apartments in that area?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, right in front, and there's tons of them over on the other side. They're just duplexes, so not the density we want to have, but yes, there are.
There we go. All right, do we have any other questions for the petitioner from members of the board?
They would empty out to that light at Lake City Ave 90.
I'm sorry?
They would empty out to that.
Yes, sir. Through Lake City Avenue. Yes.
I think that left on the 90, that'd be a tough one.
Yes. That's correct.
And what were your comments regarding Department of Transportation?
Oh, no. We did some calculations. I'm sorry. I must have.
Not Department of Transportation. You contracted some calculations regarding the traffic flow.
Yeah. We're asked to perform some calculations for the the change. So it was performed.
And you say it was satisfactory?
Yeah, it was what I said. It was negligible, so it wouldn't affect the it won't change how Lake City operates in my opinion.
Any further questions for the proponent from members of the board? All right, at this time you may be seated. I remind you, you're still under oath.
Thank you.
All right, do we have anyone else in attendance that would care to speak for or against CPA 23-03 or Z 23-03? All right, let's start on my left third row here. Sir, please come down.
Good evening.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to the best of your knowledge and ability that the testimony you're about to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very nice. Please provide your name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Okay, it's Joe, J-O-E. Adkins, A-D-K-I-N-S. And my residence is 556 Northwest Savannah Circle, S-A-V-A-N-N-A-H. Do you need the zip code? Okay.
We're good, Mr. Angelo? Very nice. Please speak your piece.
Well, I just have some concerns. One is, first and foremost, and it may not matter, but a lot of the residents of where I live, which is right there at that property in Forest Meadows, and the plantations, we don't typically travel Lake City Avenue. So it wasn't until some neighbors happened to see it on a walk that there was a notification about the change in zoning. So I have a concern about that we haven't really been able to be involved in much of this until tonight. My second concern is that, and I'm going to speak for myself, is that my property that I purchased a year ago, where I now reside, I'm thinking high density, and what kind of impact on my property value is going to happen to the property that I have, where I live. It's a big investment, and it should be my home for life, my forever home. But if I get upside down in my mortgage, if I get upside down in things because there's an impact by changing this other property to high density, then I understand, let me pause and say, I understand growth, I understand the need for affordable housing, I understand the need that the city and the county needs to be involved in expanding that area. But there's also a responsibility to the current citizens and owners that we're not placed in jeopardy with our investments. Okay, so that's it. And I didn't quite understand what was meant by two-story buildings. Are these regular construction buildings? Are these manufactured homes where they're going to put trailers together stacked on top like they do in the Florida Keys? They do that. What is the whole thing going to be and with this? And the impact on not just because there are apartments across the street doesn't necessarily have an impact on where we live. But when you place them, some of these buildings will be in people's backyards and stuff, and so there's that impact too. So I don't know if there's been a study on, I know people have signed off on the petition saying no issues, but has there been a study on how it's going to impact the property values that are already there? And then what, if it does in a negative way, how does that affect the taxes and the city budgets, because you won't be collecting, or the city won't be collecting as many taxes because the property values go down. So I just have those concerns, and that's where I want to go with that.
All right, Mr. Angelo, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to attempt to allay some of the fears of this gentleman here. As part of these petitions, one is a comprehensive plan amendment, the other is a zoning change. There will be an additional step called a site plan review before any final approvals or permitting can take place. This is the first step. That's why some of the drawings that are in some of these packets that were published online only have conceptual outlines.
Okay.
Ordinarily, for a site plan review, there would be a much more comprehensive set of elevations, drawings, landscape plan, maybe not a self-conducted transportation study, but one done by an outside third party. This is the preliminary step just to figure out, is a change in land use feasible for this property? This is not the approval to let the project happen. Now, it's wonderful seeing concerned citizens at this early stage. There will be an additional opportunity before any of this gets approved, correct?
Correct. So basically the way, so everybody will understand kind of how the rezoning works. And the first hearing is an advisory hearing to the city council. And that, so whatever the decision the board makes, if they decide to approve, that decision then would be advisory to the city council, and then it has to still go through 2 readings at the city council. At that point, at second hearing, is when it would actually be approved and to be rezoned. After that, then it would have to go through, because it's more than 3 dwelling units, it's considered a commercial development at that point, so it would require a site plan review, which would, you would see the heights of the building, you'd see a lot of, that into the plan with all of your stormwater, traffic patterns, all that stuff would be involved a whole lot more at that point. Because that's when they're locking in saying, I'm going to do X amount of units for sure.
Okay. So, to sum it up, this is the earliest of the preliminary steps. There'll be multiple hearings after this, including at least one more that this board will overhear for site plan, where there'll be more detailed studies like what you're requesting.
Okay.
Looking at a economic impact analysis, what will this do to the school district? What will this do for transportation? What will this do for hydrology, et cetera? We're just at the early phase, before the proponent goes through the effort of having a full set of massive site plans drawn up. This is is it feasible to update the planning atlas and to update the zoning prior to going out and having an entire set of plans done?
Okay. All right, that's fair, thank you.
Okay, does that allay some of your concerns?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else they would like to say to the commenter?
You may confer with the gentleman. What was your name again, sir?
Victor.
Victor. There should be some architectural representation of exactly how his product is going to look.
Okay, that'd be great.
And we'll get that in
Yeah.
the site plan review phase, which may be months down the road.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for participating in local government. Ma'am, come on down.
Thank you. My name, I'm sorry.
We'll get to that in a moment. Do you swear the testimony to the best of your knowledge and ability is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very nice. Your name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo down there.
Mr. Angelo, you know who I am, Frida Myers, M-Y-E-R-S. I live at 3950 Northwest Colonial Plan, Lake City. My concern is I'm being affected because he has already started clearing all the land. And it backs up to my property directly. I mean, there's nothing, just my fence. You can take a trip, you'll see it. The thing I'm concerned with, all of us paid a lot of money for our houses in there. We worked hard all our life to get there. And I'm like the gentleman before me that stated, the cost of our homes, what will happen. I've been there 20 years, over now, 20 years, and I'm watching this land go down to nothing. I mean, he cleared every tree, every bush, all the way to the people that are here that live against it. So the young man was incorrect when he said that it was just apartments there. We are there. We are also there. And there's a lot of people in there. And a lot of people from, I don't care who you are. We want to make sure that we are going to be taken care of also. I liked the people behind me in those apartments. I've got to know them. But the thing is, directly beside me taking everything, and now we have a noise factor. I mean, the traffic and everything now, and some of the people now are seeing signs of stuff that's happening because of this nice gentleman has already destroyed the land. He's already cleared the land completely. That's fine, but I think something that they really need to take in consideration of a lot of things before they say, we're gonna, Mr. North, I believe it was, that owned that, and he did make those stipulations many years ago before he passed away. But now, this is a young man that has bought this. I know we're all from Lake City. This is our home for all of us, and we want to make it the best we can. But don't destroy what we have, and that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing, so somebody needs to take a trip over there. I know Mr. Robert Hatton, he knows what I'm talking about, okay? That's all I have to say. Just take care of us also, please.
Okay, and likewise, you understand this is just the very
I
first
understand, I know the
of 3
procedures,
steps.
believe me,
Okay.
because of business. I understand, Mr. Robert Snow, I understand completely. And as soon as I saw the sign, but I called when they started tearing everything down. I says, my goodness.
You thought it had already been approved.
Yes,
You
I
were
did,
worried.
I was, because that's 300 feet. 300, you can see I was fixing to put a wood fence, am I right? I was fixing to put a brand new fence, and he said, Mr. Roberts says, wait. He says, do not do it now. He says, that's a lot of money, do not do it now. And I'm listening to him, because he gave me correct information, and I go to him. And he knows what he's talking, just like you know what to do and what not to do. I don't have to tell you, we've been in politics all our lives, okay? That's all I have to say.
All right, do we have any additional lines of questioning for the public commenter?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Very nice, you may be seated.
I did.
All right, do we have anyone else here in attendance that would like to speak either for or against the joint petitions as presented? You swear that the testimony you're about to give this evening, to the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Dale Stadler, D-A-L-E, S-T-A-D-L-E-R, 4354 Northwest Caden, that's C-A-D-E-N, 1 G-L-E-N. I'm a resident of the Plantations, and I agree with their concerns, but I do have one question that Joe mentioned, is that we had, as a subdivision, had no notification of this. The sign was put on Lake City Avenue. If you don't travel Lake City Avenue, you don't know it. So what are you going to do in the future to ensure that we have proper notification? I don't think that's fair to put it just on the property when it affects us. It affects us financially and affects us as far as safety concerns. So are you going to be able to put a notification somewhere in our neighborhood, such as at an entrance?
Mr. Angelo, per current city regulations, was the property properly signed and for the correct duration of time?
Yes, it was, the property was noticed for 10 days, which you have to notice the property. We can't legally go on somebody else's property and put notices up on other people's property. We can only do it on the property that we're working with. And but the other thing we do is we also advertise it in the Lake City Reporter, along with posting it on the Lake City website and under public notifications. And so those are some other areas that we do. And that the Lake City Reporter is a mandate by the state of Florida that it has to be noticed in there for 10 days also.
Yeah.
Which all those were done also.
And then furthermore, if this proceeds through this preliminary step and then has its readings at City Council, and they ultimately approve the CPA and the zoning change, once the proponent has a set of detailed plans and analyses to come back to us with a site plan review, Correct me if I'm wrong, but as part of the site plan review process, aren't all adjacent landowners specifically notified as part of an SPR petition?
Not part of the site plan review process. It doesn't require
That doesn't require immediate neighbors being notified?
not according to the land
Okay,
development regulations.
I must be thinking of a different style of petition then. But if it followed all applicable city laws and state regulations as it pertains to properly notifying and putting the world on notice and signing a public hearing for a potential change, our hands are tied. We don't have the ability to change city law unilaterally or
Okay,
state law
well-
unilaterally.
We'll just be on it every day.
You'll need to be vigilant.
I suggest you have your HOA president. You need to you need to be in contact with Mr. Angelo continually so you can mount your response.
Yeah. I'm the one who saw the sign on
Okay.
Lake City Avenue in the first place. And I guess I'll have to drive by there every day and keep track of it. But I will be in touch with you. I'll get your phone number and contact information.
Yes, as an interesting consulted party, the HOA can provide the city a letter saying anytime there's movement on this, we'd like notice, right?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I can put a notice up at the entrance of the park if there's another movement on it, which the next advertisement would be for the city council, which would be for the final reading, for the public notice for that. That would be the next one. That's the final reading that the city council would have to approve the zoning. After that, then it would go through the site plan review, which doesn't require a notification. But, you know, I can definitely do that.
Is there a date on that city council, or is it simply
That's
when
gonna
it,
depend when it can get on
when it
the
can
docket,
go?
correct?
Okay, okay. No,
Probably beginning of May, and then
Oh,
somewhere in
okay.
there. And so it'd be about a month out.
all right, thank you.
This particular board only convenes once a month, first Tuesday of every month. So if it's ready to go by beginning of May, it's in May. If it takes till
Mid-May.
June, it takes till June, et cetera, et cetera. You just heard us at the beginning of this meeting have to grant a continuance to something that happens up here semi-regularly, even either having to table something or grant a continuance or otherwise delay something out due to not all the right parts and pieces being where they need to be.
We were here on another issue and they had to table it, so I didn't.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And what's your name, ma'am?
Dale Statler.
Yeah, okay.
All right, is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against the two joint petitions? You swear that the testimony you're about to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to the best of your knowledge and abilities?
Yes.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Darlene, D-A-R-L-E-N-E, Hart, H-A-R-T, 3992 Northwest Wisteria Drive. I understand that this is preliminary, but this affects me and my husband because our property backs up. We're on the cul-de-sac. There are two other families here at least who are in that same position where we're on the cul-de-sac. As you've heard earlier, they've already come in and cleared the land, which has made the noise level on our street rise. The traffic on Lake City Avenue is bad. You can hear the garbage trucks, you can hear the school buses, you can hear the cars zooming by with their glass pipes all hours of the day and night. And by clearing that out, that has already made that worse. In addition to that, we are having people walk over from the apartment complex that's already there to cut through our neighborhood. Now, I know that's not your problem, but that is one of the issues we're having. When I bought my home, this is my husband and I moved here. I'm from here, a lifelong resident, but we moved into this house 4 years ago. It's going to be our retirement home. I checked the zoning. The zoning said it was zoned residential office. There are 2 office buildings right behind my house. Well, I was fine with that because people in offices don't cause problems. There's no noise, there's no parties on weekends. And so we were fine with that, but we're not fine with putting apartments there and having a bunch of people making noise, walking through the neighborhood, and more traffic on Lake City Avenue. That's our concern, along with the value of our property being diminished.
Any additional questions from members of the board for the commenter? I have one, ma'am. The HOA owns property up to the back of this.
Correct.
The association, the individual landowners that make it up.
Correct.
Anywhere in the large holdings that comprise this HOA covenanted community, has there been any attempt to provide either wallage or fencage to clearly define and limit the boundaries of this deed restricted community?
I don't know if the HOA has talked about that, but that is something that myself and some of the neighbors are going to bring up at the next HOA meeting, is getting a fence there.
Because if security is an issue that you are concerned about, that's probably gonna be something that the HOA is gonna wanna look into doing.
Right, and I think they will do that, but that's not going to take care of the other issues.
Because the alternative of telling every single private property owner that lines the outside of your HOA that they cannot do anything with their property, that's not gonna happen. We're typically not in the business of telling private
Right, I
property owners,
understand that.
you cannot do this with your,
And I
you can't
understand we do
anything
need
with
affordable
your
housing. But apartments where you're going to put, how many families are you expecting?
12.
12 families? And 12 families is more than 12 people.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's all. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against the two joint petitions as presented by the owner? All right, at this time, seeing none, would the owner and proponent, Mr. Ganskop, would you like to come back and offer additional comments based on what was already said? Very nice, reserve your time. There being no additional public comment on this issue, do we have a motion to close public comment on CPA 23-03 and Z 23-03?
Am I too late?
Not yet, there ain't a motion and a second on the floor. Come on down, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Wendy.
Oh, no, we're not at that part yet.
Oh, okay, I swear.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give this evening to the best of your knowledge and ability is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Wendy, W-E-N-D-Y, Bittner, B-I-T-N-E-R, 4013 Northwest Wisteria Drive. Okay,
All right.
this map here is my first inkling of what is proposed. And I'm just concerned because they're showing Lake City Avenue, we're on the left-hand side. The apartments that the gentleman referred to are on the other side. So I don't know why he said that they're on our side. There's existing
The
apartments.
current parcels under
Under 1 and 4.
discussion are under the number 1.
Right.
The existings would be in the 2 and the 3 area, and then 4 indicates the existing residential office zoning district with up to 8 dwelling units per acre.
So parcels 1 and 2, or items 1 and 2 are divided by Lake City Avenue?
Correct.
Okay, so that means
But where you
that-
see the 1, that is the 2 individual parcels that are being recommended for development as the 2-story structures.
So it is on our side of Lake City Avenue?
Yes, and if you are at the end of the cul-de-sac of
Correct,
Northwest Wisteria,
yes.
quite literally, this would be a in your backyard issue.
Yeah, I'm kind of off of it, but it's close enough that I'm across the street from the folks whose backyard it is. And we mentioned fences and so forth. My concern is I'm wondering, since the city has to approve this, can you not require that the builder install fencing? I understand that you can't tell me I have to put up a fence, but why can it not be part of the zoning and the planning to require the builder to put some sort of protection, some sort of separation from his building to our area. Is that not possible?
Don't believe the LDRs give us the authority to require that, Mr.
So how are you protecting us, I guess is what I want to say, as citizens, as homeowners, and you're doing the zoning? I would think that you want to protect us, so why would you not require the builder to put a separation of some sort between us and the new construction?
I would assume for the same reason that the HOA was not required to put up a fence or a wall around the community when they originally built. We could not compel the HOA to do that, just like we cannot compel this owner to fence the development.
Wasn't that fence up there?
The developer.
Yes, they do.
The developer put the fence up.
Then they're down now, right? The fence? Did we talk about that? So there was fencing up
Okay.
around the entire subdivision.
Okay, well, that was a question I asked earlier. I was told no.
Yeah, well, the fences are pretty much gone now.
Oh, okay.
Those are
Mine
wood
is still
fences? They were,
Yes, sir.
they were wood
Yeah.
fences, okay?
Yes, sir.
So,
So the HOA was originally surrounded by a fence.
Correct.
I still have the fence that HOA put up. That's 300 and some feet against his land direct. And I was told when I bought the property, there was a 10-foot from my land, from my fence that HOA put up. I've been patching it, 10 feet out, and that 10 feet was supposed to be an easement, for me. But he tore it all down.
There are certain areas where the fence
It's still
looks
there.
as old as what it is.
It's
and-
20 years old.
Yeah,
Mine
and
is
we-
20 years old.
We've had discussions about replacing and how we're gonna do it with people that have paid for their own fencing, So there is fencing up. We did require it. And apparently a lot of it's gone because they came through and cleared that entire lot. So I guess I'm concerned that the city cannot do anything to protect us from mainly pedestrian traffic coming through.
And
So
Mr.
that's my
Angelo, this
question.
may be something we might want to take a look at in the land development regulations, City of Lake City as amended, just to see if there are additional requirements. Off the top of my head, I don't believe we have a requirement for that. It's a optional thing. Obviously, it seems like this HOA decided to exercise that option.
Mhm.
I know, not under a rezoning, I don't know if we can, but I know like in a subdivision, where you can have an agreement for a subdivision when they go in, and that would be something that would be approved during the
But
subdivision.
certainly at the
but not
level of a
on
rezoning or a comprehensive plan
But
amendment,
not on the rezoning.
that doesn't exist at this step. That
Not that
might,
I have
that might be a step that gets brought in during the site plan
site plan
review.
review
But at this early phase, there is nothing on the books
I
as far as
understand that,
municipal
but
code.
prior to the construction, and when you approve the construction of these buildings, is that something that you require?
I don't know if I can require it, but I can definitely, make sure I talk to the developer to see if that would be something that they would be willing to do.
Especially if that area, if those area buildings are gonna have the parking lot, their parking lot that abuts our properties.
Correct.
That's nothing but trouble. And it's nothing, causing us to build fences to protect property that we've had and, from somebody new coming in. So, anyway, that's all I have to say. I appreciate you
and ma'am,
keeping that in mind.
could have some strength in numbers. Suppose the HOA president could petition Mr. Angelo or the city to perhaps install a sound barrier
That
type
would be,
wall. If she was to
Ask the
get,
city to do that?
yeah,
that would be
requests. They could request.
You can request anything you
Yeah, you
want.
can request.
Yeah.
And get signatures of all of the people in the, at Forest Meadows, get all the signatures and put in a request.
That we have
Because that's
done
a
that
city-
with other items, and the city has helped us with some lighting, new lighting and so forth.
Yeah.
We've been asking for some striping on the streets and so forth. So the city has done certain things for us. I can't imagine them building a wall for us, but
Never
it
know.
certainly won't hurt. It might be easier though to ask the builder while he's doing that, and I appreciate your thoughts
The
on it.
the builder and the city, maybe they could join together and
You can request
fund it together, you know?
It just seems at
Half and half.
at some point in time, somebody has to protect one of the nicest subdivisions in Lake City. Let's face it, it is.
Mhm.
And it's been there a long time, and it brings in a lot of tax revenue for the city. Based on my tax bill, there's no telling what the others are, because I'm in one of the older houses, but I just think that some thought ought to be given to it by the city officials, whoever that may be, and at whatever time it may be. We would appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, unless there are any more individuals that wish to speak for or against these two joined petitions as submitted by the owner and proponent, I believe we were about to entertain a motion to close public comment.
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
All right, that is Carter and Nelson on motion and second. Having a motion and a second, show of hands, close public comment. Hands down, opposed likewise. All right, discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. Not seeing anything, giving anyone any heartburn in the supplemental packet as far as this preliminary step goes. Because this was a late arrival and didn't get to go in, Mr. Angelo, was there a certain delay on any of the departments getting back with you over reservations they had before they could approve?
No, the only thing reason it didn't get into the actual agenda was we are now doing the staff reviews electronically, and it got held up in one of the emails in that, so it was kind of stuck there, and we had to get that through there. But I did make sure I brought plenty of extra copies, and there are copies out there for everybody else to be able to review.
All right, and you don't foresee there being any issues with making sure that the HOA is individually noticed now that they have expressed interest, and especially if they follow up with a letter from the HOA president?
Yeah, as long as I have a commission from the HOA.
The Department of Growth Management should be able to send their organization a letter next time this comes up on the city agenda.
Yeah, I'll definitely partner with the HOA and that to, see what we can do to help notice that. If I have y'all's permission to be able to do that, then I can, make sure that happens.
Okay. Discussion amongst members of the board. Anything else for Mr. Angelo? Anything else for city departments? Come on up, Steve.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I don't have an actual concern per se, but I would like for the purpose of the conversation, in the areas that are colored in light purple 2 and 3, those medium densities are not 2-story. Those are single level. So that would be a concern if we were to approve one that backs up to the fence that was 2-story. Even with the fence, you would be above the fence to a degree, be able to oversee the fence. So I want to make sure that we discuss that. Also, when we go to high density, the original plan of medium density versus high density and the utilities. Traffic won't be an issue on this one, we don't believe. But going to high density without a site plan or any type of plan at this point could possibly be a concern with utilities. And again, I'd like to see a little further if I could see that, possibly before we get too far into it.
Okay, is that a soft ask, or is that are you requesting that we
With the
table
proponent,
this
the proponent may
until-
be able to add that information is the reason why I said it that way. But I believe there's a couple of more questions that need to be answered before we.
And by utilities, we're not talking about City of Lake City utilities, we're talking about FPL as a third outside party?
Well, I don't know when he says high density, how many we're gonna go with. He says 12. Is that a hard number at 12? If he could clarify that.
He's nodding in the affirmative, but 12 is a hard number.
That we can get in, in the site, that'll be the maximum.
Yeah, okay. So that is one concern. And then again, just so you guys are aware, the 2-story the fence would be negated at that point, just for the sake of the conversation.
Okay. And then, Mr. Angelo, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't wanna go diving through the hard copy of the LDRs right now. once we move into the realm of high-density residential, there are certain requirements for vegetative buffers and setbacks for visual appeal at the margin. Maybe not so much compelling fencing, but there is some vegetation that'll need to be compelled as part of the site plan as it's generated, right?
Correct. They'll have a landscape buffer plan that they have to provide, and that, under the residential multifamily, a little different than the residential office. So they would just have to apply or abide by whatever is in the LDR for the landscape buffering.
Any other discussion amongst members of the board or questions for city departments? All right, seeing none at this time, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition CPA 23-03 and Z 23-03 as submitted by owner as proponent?
Move to approve CPA 23-03 and C 23-03.
Second.
That's McMahon and Carter on the second. Mr. Angelo, would you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidy?
No. All right, we have a non-unanimous vote, but it has passed to the Planning and Zoning Board. This will move on to City Council with recommendation for approval of CPA 23-03 and Z 23-03. We'll make sure that the HOA gets informed when this is going to go to City Council for reading and action. Moving on, petition SPR 23-08 submitted by Anthony George Jr., acting as agent for Don Shaw, owner, for site plan review for Refuge Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ in the residential single-family 3 RSF3 zoning district located on parcel 11428-001, regulated by Land Development Regulations Section 4.5. Mr. Angelo, would you care to introduce the petition? We'll get to y'all in just a moment if you'd like to have a seat down front.
Okay.
All right, this one is for SPR 23-08 for the Refuge Church. It is for a site plan review, and they, back in 2021, they did receive a special exception approval to be able to put a church there. Now they're just moving forward with the project and going ahead and going with the site plan review. It is conducive for review per the LDR section 4.5, and at this time, the city staff has no concerns with the project.
Hold on just a minute, I'm trying to get the site plan here. How's it sit on the property elevation? There we go, that's all right. Anthony George Jr., agent for owner Don Shaw. Mr. George, please approach as proponent. Do you swear that testimony you're about to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the best of your knowledge and ability?
I do.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
My name is Lucius George.
Please speak into the microphone so we can get you on tape.
Lucius George. I'm representing the agent, Anthony George, who was unavailable at the time. 395 Northeast Frona Street, Lake City, Florida.
All right, tell us what you'd like to accomplish.
Well, all we need is your blessings on putting the church there. That's all we ask.
Well, this will be a site plan review. Are you in a position to describe the site plan as submitted?
Yes, like Mr. Angelo has stated, the project has been approved, years ago?
For a special exception.
Now we just moving forward with putting the church there. So all the proper documents have been submitted.
All right, do we have any questions for the agent from members of the board?
No.
All right, at this time you may be seated. Are you the owner?
Yes.
If you'd like to approach, you can also go on the record as making a comment if you choose. You swear the testimony you're about to give, to the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Affirm.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Okay, legal name is Donathan Shaw. Donathan Shaw. Donathan. Address is 308 Southwest Callaway Drive, Lake City, Florida, 32024.
All right. So, are you in a position to speak to this site plan, or are you just going on record as saying you would like it approved?
On record, I'd like it approved.
That's always convenient.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any questions or discussion from members of the board for the owner as it relates to this petition? All right, at this time you may be seated. We have you on record as being for it.
Okay, thank you.
Churches are good.
Churches are good. All right, at this time, is there anyone else in attendance this evening that would like to speak either for or against petition SPR 23-08 as presented by the agent of agent and the owner? Seeing none, do we have a motion to close public comment on petition SPR 23-08?
Petition to close public comment on SPR 23-08.
Second.
All right, that was Carter, and was that you, Ms. Mary, down at the end? Okay. Hand vote? Aye. Hands down, likewise? All right, public comment is closed at this time. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. Everything good with this one? Just out of curiosity, how long ago was it that we did the special exception for the church on this RSF 3?
It was dated 2021.
Okay, that was a while ago.
Yeah, they did for me.
And none of this gives heartburn to anyone over at City? Sweet. Any further discussion? All right, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SPR 23-08 as submitted by agent of agent?
Motion to approve SPR 23-08.
Second.
I think Ms. Mary jumped in on that second a little before you did, Mr. Sean. All right, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Angelo, would you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidy?
Yes. It is unanimous. Petition SPR 23-08 has been approved. Congratulations. Go forth and do great things.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Will do, thank you.
Moving to the next, final piece of new business for the evening. We have a site plan review, petition SPR 23-09, submitted by Ben Johnson, acting as agent for Home Depot USA, Inc., owner, for a site plan review for Home Depot tool rental in commercial intensive zoning district, located on Columbia County parcel 02640, regulated by Land Development Regulations, section 4.13. Do we have Mr. Johnson in attendance? Come on down.
Will Mr. Angelo be speaking first?
Yes. Oh, that's right. I keep getting ahead of myself. Mr. Angelo, you come on down first.
All right, this one is for SPR 23-09. This is for Home Depot tool rental. And that what they're proposing to do is on the side of the building to add a tool rental along with some of the parking spots out front, have them for some rental equipment, so they will have to put up a fence and to be able to house that in. And it is conducive for use of per the LDR section 4.13.2.2. And the city has reviewed this and at this time has no concerns with the project.
Mr. Angela, I just noticed in the water distribution collection, there was the one disapproved, Brian Scott.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that was disapproved in there, and but when I called him, he had no concerns with the.
Maybe an accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good catch on that.
That's all the way down, okay. I see what you're talking about now.
Well, I was confused too, because the note that went along with it didn't seem to, imply a disapproval, but it was checked disapproved.
And that's an automated check, not an in check. Okay. All right. All right, Mr. Johnson. You swear testimony you're about to give this evening, the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Benjamin Johnson, Benjamin, Johnson, Johnson. Address 5425 East First Square, Southwest, Vero Beach, Florida.
All right. In your own words, what would you like to accomplish this evening?
I know the store right now in Lake City does not currently have a tool rental center. If you have been to a tool rental center at another Home Depot facility, it is a benefit that they're providing to the communities where there's existing stores. In many cases, if there is an existing bump out, meaning the building has already previously had an expansion, they're taking an internal portion of that bump out and allocating that to be for the rental equipment. So that would be more your tools that you can go and buy, like a chainsaw, a fan to blow out, dry your house, a power washer, and that type of equipment would be inside of the store. In this instance, in Lake City, we do have that bump out already, so there won't be any expansion on the building. They'll just be taking and doing a building permit application to have that space reallocated for the tool rental center. In a complementary to the internal portion of the tool rental center, they also have, with this program, they're looking to reserve 19 parking stalls within the existing parking lot. It won't be any parking lot reconfiguration. It'll be repurposing those existing stalls to be reserved. 10 of the spaces for what they call compact power equipment, which is equipment such as skid steers, mini excavators, wood chippers, and there's a couple other items on that list that are meant to directly serve the community, both for someone like a local homeowner who may have had damage from a recent hurricane and they're looking to chip up a tree in their backyard or remove some debris from the storm, or they're just looking to do a home improvement project, or for a local contractor who might not have the money to go and purchase some of this equipment, they can go and rent it for a day or for a couple days and then return it. Along with that equipment, there would be a fenced enclosure area, which will be located along the west side of the building, where there is what I'm calling the bump out already. And that is for when people are returning the equipment, such as the chainsaws, the power washers, and that other stuff that would be inside of the store. In addition to that, with the equipment being in the parking lot, it'll all reside within a trailer. So none of the equipment will be just sitting on the asphalt. They'll be in a trailer, in a parking stall, which makes it easy for customers to come in, back up, hook it up to the hitch, drive out, use it for the day, and then return it. With that, the trailers, they require electricity, so that the lights and everything are working, as well as some of the equipment requires electricity. So there will be power run to those stalls so that the equipment, when it's residing in those stalls, can be charging. And then The additional 9 stalls that make up the 19 reserve stalls will be for what Home Depot identifies as their load and go trucks. So it's basically like your standard pickup truck is labeled and logoed with Home Depot's logo. And then that is also used for local contractors or homeowners or members of the community that are looking to, they might not have a pickup truck, they want to rent one, use it for the day. And that's it. I will say, Home Depot has put a big emphasis on growing this program in Florida, especially with the recent hurricanes over along the West Coast. A lot of those communities that did have the tool rental centers directly benefited from having access to the equipment that costs thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars that they couldn't just fork out, and they couldn't hire a contractor who's booked to their teeth dealing with all the storm cleanup, so they could get out, rent some of the equipment, and use it for themselves.
I can say you're probably not gonna make any friends right next door to you at that equipment rental place. Do we have anyone from that property here to speak against this by any chance? I don't recall. I know it was something that got approved years ago. Do we have any questions, comments, discussion for the proponent as it relates to, or I'm sorry, for the agent of the proponent as it relates to petition SPR 23-09?
Instead of all of those pickup trucks, you're gonna throw a van in there, 1 or 2 vans? With the $19.95 a day?
That's not the intention with this tool rental program. The vans and the Penske trucks, that's something
You
separate.
get those on the other side of the parking lot, down by the garden.
Yep. Well, they've already got the van.
They do.
Okay.
Anything else for agent of owner? All right, Mr. Johnson, you may be seated. At this time, do we have anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SPR 23-09 as presented? Seeing none, do we have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
All right, that was Mr. Carter on the second. Hand vote, all in favor? All right, hands down, like sign. All right, public comment on this issue is now closed. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. Has the city gotten any hate mail from that other equipment rental place on the other side of the property line?
No, we have not.
Okay.
I will say back to your comment on the disapproval from the distribution and collections director, and that the comment in there was about the utilities in the ground. Everything, once you hit the property line, is all private anyways, so that's why he had no concern with the utilities in there.
Because that's all on their side of the house.
Correct, yeah. If something gets damaged, it's on, that will be Home Depot's concern at that point.
All right, any other discussion? You're good? You're good? All right. Seems like everyone's good. Do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SPR 23-09 as presented?
Motion to approve SPR 23-09 as presented.
I'll second.
I think McMahon got in on that one. I think Sean's gonna go on record with the second for this one. All right, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum? Yes. Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidy?
Yay. All right, it's unanimous. Go forth, do great things. Get us a tool rental place next to a tool rental place.
Thank you, same time.
You're welcome.
All right, as we conclude our new business, I see we have no workshop items to address. Has anything come up at the last minute that you need to address for the board, Mr. Angelo?
No, sir.
Steve, you good? All right. At this time, do we have a motion to adjourn planning and zoning board meeting for,
Excuse me, I'm here for a hearing as well.
yes, your board of adjustment. You're the next board we're
Oh,
going
okay,
to.
sorry.
You're good. We didn't forget about you.
Oh, thanks.
Motion to adjourn planning and zoning, 4th April 2023.
Second.
All right, Carter on the second. Hand vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, hands down, likewise opposed. All right, we are adjourned, planning and zoning. We now move to the second hat that we wear. Board of Adjustment, City of Lake City shall come to order. Date is 4th of April 2023. Roll call shall remain the same. On the 24th of March, electronic meeting minutes were sent out by Mr. Angelo for our previous meeting of the Board of Adjustment, which took place on the 7th of February 2023. I trust everyone's had the time to review those. At this time, do we have any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes as submitted? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion to adopt minutes for 2/07/2023.
And Ms. McCullum on the second there. Hand vote, all in favor of approval of minutes? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, unanimously, we have meeting minutes. Seeing no old business on our schedule, let's move to new business. We have first item, petition SE 23-01 submitted by David Smith as agent for Inland Diversified Lake City Commons LLC, the owner, for a special exception for Publix Supermarkets liquor store in a commercial intensive zoning district located on Columbia County parcel 02611-024, regulated by Land Development Regulations section 4.13. Mr. Angelo, would you care to introduce this petition to the board?
Alright, so this petition is SE 23-01. It is for a Publix liquor store, which would require a special exception in the current zoning district that it is in. It is conducive for review per section of the LDR 4.13.5.2, and the city staff has reviewed this, being as an interior build-out. There's no concern with the utilities net inside the facility, because it would be all private utilities, and no other concerns. All right, well, you don't appear to be a David Smith.
No, I am not. I work in the same office as David. I think my name might also be somewhere else on the application materials, but I'm a land use attorney at Stearns Weaver with David.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Swear to the best of your knowledge and ability that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Very nice. Name and spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
My name is Nicole Neugebauer, Nicole. Last name is Neugebauer, and my address is 401 East Jackson Street in Tampa. Good evening, board members. As I mentioned, my name is Nicole Neugebauer, and I'm a land use attorney at Stearns Weaver Miller in Tampa. I'm here tonight representing Publix Supermarkets and the property owner in connection with a special exception application for a proposed Publix liquor store. This liquor store would be a new tenant in an already anchored Publix shopping center. So there will be no new build out. This would just be a new tenant within one of the smaller retail spaces that are adjacent to the larger Publix store. For the next slide. Oh, sorry, click the next one. Here's a map that shows where the Publix shopping center is located. And here's the future land use and zoning map. It's within the commercial future land use category and the commercial intensive zoning district. So the project we're proposing, you can see in red the dashed line around the Publix liquor store. It would be adjacent to the existing Publix shopping center. It would be a regular packaged liquor store, so there's no on-premises consumption. This is not going to create any adverse impacts to adjacent property owners. It won't create any new traffic. It'll be the same customers that would be going to the shopping center anyways. We don't expect it to have any effect on surrounding property values. Next slide. We went through in our narrative that we submitted with the application all of the criteria for a special exception in your code and a justification for how this project will meet or exceed those criteria. Most of these justifications are that this is just going to be a new tenant. It is not going to be a build out of an existing shopping center. So we're not going to be increasing traffic or anything like that. I'm happy to walk through all of them if you have any specific questions, but that's largely our justification for why this is an appropriate use in the shopping center. From the staff departments, we have recommendations of approval, and we did not hear any concerns from any of city staff. And that's it. So I'm available if you have any questions or would like me to go through the criteria.
Fantastic. I do have one question. This is completely standalone. This does not involve putting a pass-through entrance between the two parcels.
No, I believe the shopping center is one large parcel, so this is just going to be a new tenant.
But
There
no, I
won't
just
be-
mean there's no door direct, or is there not a door directly from the supermarket space to the liquor store space?
There typically, Publix doesn't allow the doors because they want to be able to monitor who's, how many people are coming in and out of the liquor store. So there typically should not be a door. I have not heard of them ever putting one into one of their stores,
So
but
that firewall maintains 100% of its integrity.
yes, yes.
That was all I had for the proponent. Are there any other questions for the proponent from members of the board? Seeing none, Ms. Nicole, you may be seated. Do we have anyone else here in attendance this evening that would care to speak either for or against petition SE 23-01 as submitted by the acting agent of owner? Seeing none, do we have a motion to close public comment on this petition?
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
And that was Mr. Nelson on the second. By hand vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hands down. All opposed? Likewise? All right, public comment is now closed on this petition. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. No heartburn around. Seeing everyone just looking, okay. At this time, hearing nothing, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SE 23-01 as submitted by acting agent of owner?
Motion to approve SC 23-01.
Second.
The second was on Ms. McCallum. Please call the yeas and the nays, Mr. Angelo.
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Lyden?
Yay. All right.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Moving right along, next item on the agenda, petition SE 23-02 submitted by Dalton Kurtz, acting as agent for Daniel Craps owner for a special exception for Florida Gateway Drive RV Park in a commercial highway interchange zoning district located on Columbia County parcel 02714, regulated by Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, section 4.15. Mr. Angelo, would you care to introduce this?
All right, this one is for SE 23-02. It's for Florida Gateway Drive RV Park. They're looking to put an RV park at the end of the Florida Gateway Drive, kind of adjacent to Camping World, right there at the very end. And it is conducive for use, and that per the LDR section 4.15.5.2, just requiring the special exception. The city staff has reviewed the application and at this time has no major concerns with the application.
All right, just as a point of clarification, I know we've seen this a couple different times now. After the special exception is either approved or, well, if it is approved, will we see this come back yet again for a true site plan review?
Correct. Yeah, we'll get the
So
next
this
step.
would be Mr. Dalton's third trip to see us now, and he'll have one more after this?
Yeah, good.
He needs to buy season tickets. All right, that was my question. All right, Mr. Kurtz, come on down for the third time. You swear to the best of your knowledge and ability that the testimony you're about to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
It's going to be Dalton, D-A-L-T-O-N, Kurtz, KURTZ. Home address is going to be 21313 180th Street, Live Oak, Florida, 32060. To bring the board back up to speed, this is basically an 8.5 acre parcel that was sectioned out from a larger, I believe, 77 acre parcel. Client wants to put an RV park on it right off the interstate, right next to Camping World. Pretty good location. We did the rezoning and everything, and we've kind of worked out all the details. The site plan's 100% done. We've already made our first submission, or excuse me, we just made our second submission to the Water Management District to get the stormwater stuff taken care of. And prior to the city reviewing the site plan and sending it off to DEP for the sewer and water permits, we wanted to go ahead and get the special exception taken care of. It's all fairly straightforward. I believe we're gonna have 43 RV spaces out there. Everything's basically taken care of, and this is just for the exception.
All right, anything else for the agent from members of the board? All right, feel free to have a seat. Do we have anyone else here in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SE 23-02 as presented by agent of owner? Seeing none, do we have a motion to close public comment on this petition?
Motion to close.
Second.
Carter on the second. Hand vote, all in favor of closing public comment? Hands down. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, unanimously we are closing public comment. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. No heartburn, no heartburn? All right, discussion amongst members of the board. Does everyone remember seeing this at least 2 times before? Sean, were you on the board when this came around both times?
Why have there been delays? Why have there been delays? Why is
Water Management District, I think, was part of that, wasn't it? Weren't they one of your big hurdles?
The first one was when there was turnover with the city. The city manager, I believe, it was Mike, I can't recall his last name.
Williams.
Mike Williams, correct. There was basically a snafu that happened somewhere along the line, and I had to resubmit a rezoning application as well. But correct, the was it permit application getting lost, and then the Water Management District is going back and forth with them.
Well, I imagine they're gonna be pretty happy considering how large these proposed stormwater ponds are. All right, any additional discussion amongst members of the board? Very nice. At this time, with no further discussion amongst members of the board, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SE 23-02 as presented by agent of owner?
Motion to approve SC 23-02.
I will second that.
McMahon on the second. We have a motion and a second on the petition. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Lighty?
Yay. All right, petition passes unanimously. Congratulations, you only have to come see us one more time.
I'll see you guys more than that.
All right. And last but not least, we didn't forget y'all. Petition SE 23-03, petition submitted by Brittany Jernigan, owner, for a special exception for parcel 11859 in the residential single family 3 RSF 3 zoning district as regulated by City of Lake City Land Development Regulations, section 4.5. Mr. Angelo, would you please care to introduce this petition to the board?
All right, this one is for a special exception SE 23-03. They are looking to get a special exception. They're in the residential single-family 3 district, which requires for a residential manufactured home to have a special exception heard. And therefore, it is conducive for use with the special exception and per the LDR, section 4.5.5.13. And the city staff has did not review this one because it's just a regular residential manufactured home. There was no staff review done on this one.
All right, we'll get to this under discussion amongst the board. This time, do we have Brittany Jernigan, owner, that wishes to come and tell us about this? Do you swear to the best of your skill and ability that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo, please.
Brittany, Brittnee, Jernigan, Jernigan, 263 Southwest Musket Place, Lake City, Florida.
All right, in your own words, please tell us what you'd like to accomplish this evening.
I'm here to get an exception to, I want to help rejuvenate the neighborhood, bring value to that neighborhood and put a mobile home there, make it look presentable. I've done it not long ago in the area. It was an abandoned lot, so to make the area look more presentable.
All right, anything else for members of the board?
No, sir.
All right, questions for the owner from members of the board?
It's just a single manufactured home.
Yes, sir, double wide, yes, sir.
Is it of a type, I know we've seen these before, there's a certain type of manufactured home that needs to come on this without a septic. We've seen these before take place in RSF3s. There's conforming and non-conforming homes. I think it has to do with the eaves, the roof material,
The LDR spells out kind of what are requirements make it a manufactured home.
and there's a certain adjective for a certain class of homes that that can go through just fine, and others that require their own special exception for that mobile home, not just putting one on an RSF3, but also needing the home to have an exception.
Where you have to have, there's two different ways a mobile home or a manufactured home can be on the property. If you have a piece of property that currently has a mobile home on it, you have 6 months that you can pull that off and put another one on it. The other way is, in like this case where you have a special exception, it's a vacant piece of property, you hear a special exception, the manufactured home has to meet certain requirements, has to have skirting up underneath it, has to have removable axles, removable tongue, has to have a certain pitch on the roof, and it has to be a minimum of 20 foot wide.
And I believe that's what it was. When your predecessor was here, we saw a lot of these going in in RSF3 neighborhoods at the periphery of city limits. And yeah, it was those conforming characteristics that you described. So this one fully meets those conforming characteristics?
Yes, sir.
There we go. It's been a while since we've seen one of these. I was trying to jog it out of my memory banks.
This is on city sewer, city electric.
Yes, sir.
Everything's all set, it's a small lot.
Excuse me?
It's a small lot, everything's all set.
Oh, yes.
Wired, everything.
Is it located?
Patterson now.
It's empty now, you don't have to remove previous home.
The property is vacant still.
It's vacant.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for the owner? All right, you can have a seat. Is there anyone else here in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SE 23-03 as submitted by the owner? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to close public hearing on this petition?
Motion to close.
Second. McMahon on the second. Hand vote, all in favor of closing public comment? Aye. All right, hands down, like sign opposed. All right, public comment is closed on this petition. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. Sounds like everything's been looked at. It's a conforming use. The setbacks all look good, not needing an additional SC on this. Any further discussion amongst members of the board? No. All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SE 23-03 as submitted by owner?
Move we approve SE 23-03.
Second. Carter on the second. We have a motion and a second on the petition. Mr. Angelo, please call the yeas and the nays.
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Lively?
Yay. All right, it's unanimous. Congratulations. Go forth, do good things. That concludes the new business portion of this evening's program. I see nothing in our workshop. Okay. I see nothing in workshop items. Mr. Steve, Mr. Angelo, do you have anything you'd like to put on the radar of the board while we still have workshop open? Okay. We have no workshop items. That only leaves one more thing left to do on this sheet of paper, and that is I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There we go. Hand vote. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Hands down. Likewise opposed. Very good. We stand